Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Happy holidays! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
Isn't that weird? I'm out of the room and you can still hear my voice. Oh look! What does it say? Let it snow. It's not very much snow out today, is there?
It's actually red.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to introduce Mrs. Claus. Give her a round of applause!
It's so good to see you. How are you all?
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's so good to see you all. You know how I got here? Can you guess? You know, not the reindeer, because they only fly on Christmas. But I took a helicopter. Did you guys hear it outside? It was so loud. It was so loud. But it was so much fun. I could see everybody as I was coming. But I'm looking for Santa because he said I was supposed to meet him here. Forgot his hat. So I had to give that to him. And you know, we have to get Santa in here. He's probably wandering around trying to find the right door. Yeah. Sometimes he gets lost because he needs new glasses too. His glasses are a little old. But I know a song that will bring Santa to us, I think. Would you guys sing it with me if I sing it?
Yeah.
And if we sing really loud, I think Santa will be able to hear it and he'll come. It's one of his favorite songs. Can you guess what it is? He likes that one too, but this one has his name in it.
Santa
Claus is coming to town.
Sing with us.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not cry. I'm telling you why.
Santa Claus is coming
He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice.
Santa Claus is coming to Chicago. I see you when you're sleeping. I know if you're awake. I know if you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Clap! Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Yes! Well, hello, everybody. You all look so nice today. Goodness gracious. Don't they look lovely, Mrs. Claus?
They do.
Oh, how was your helicopter flight?
It was lovely. It's so good to see you.
Isn't she pretty? Don't you think? Santa loves her
Makes
very
me
much,
blush.
you know that? Come, have a seat, darling. Right here. Matt, it's nice to see you.
So good to see you again, Mr. Claus.
Yes. Oh, goodness gracious. What's that? Are we brothers? No. He's a human being. I am not, darling. You see? We're going to have our questions in a moment, all right? I know. Do you know why? Mrs. Claus made me a new one. Can I try it on, dear?
I would love it. I'd love to see if it fits you, Rose.
There, do I have it on right?
Well,
No?
Not exactly.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you for making me a
You're
new
welcome.
one.
It looks fantastic.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's so nice to see you all. Matt, did you tell them about what we're going to do today?
That's right. We remember we're having a town hall meeting, right?
Right.
Good. And I wanted to say that anyone who wants to take any pictures or videos, that's okay. You can definitely take pictures and videos. And after the town hall meeting, we're going to be having a short meet and greet. So you'll get a chance to shake Santa's hand and Mrs. Claus and say hello.
Yes. And all of this came about because over years I realized that you children had some wonderful questions, and we got so many of them on the email too.
Yes.
Mrs. Claus is in charge of reading all of the email and the Twitter things that come into us, you see. And she told me that maybe what we should do is hold a town hall meeting, like Matt said. And so that's why we're doing this today. And I hope that you all have some wonderful questions for us today. Matt will help out with calling on you, all right? Let's go ahead and start with the questions.
Let's start. We've got some really great questions to start with over here. First, tell us, what's your name?
Amelia.
Amelia. What's your question, Amelia?
How many
It's okay, think about it. We can come back to you next, okay, Amelia?
Darling, Amelia, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Red is Santa's favorite color.
Yellow.
And yellow? Now let's think about it. We're going to ask how many what?
How many really cookies do you eat?
How many cookies do I eat?
That was mine.
That's okay, darling. That's a good question. Two people can have the same question, you know. Now, here is the thing about that. How many cookies can Santa eat? Does it look like I've ever missed out on any cookies in my whole life? No, it doesn't.
Just so you know, you took a little bite of one of my cookies. You took some, you didn't eat the whole one. Last Christmas, you didn't eat the whole ginger.
I left some crumbs on the table.
Yeah,
You know what, boys and girls? Santa can't hear you all at the same time. So let's do this. If you want to say something, do raise your hand and Matt will call on you, all right? Because Santa wants to hear from each and every one of you, all right? Now, let's go on to a little bit more about this cookie thing. I'd like to talk about the cookies.
He loves to talk
I love
about
to.
cookies.
Mrs. Claus makes the best cookies. She is the head cookie baker up at the North Pole, you know. And Santa loves to eat cookies. It's my favorite thing. And what do I like to drink with them? Coca-Cola. Now that brings up an interesting point. I think that brings up an interesting point that I would like to talk about. This is the thing. Where did you get the idea that Santa drinks Coca-Cola? What was it in?
Well, commercial said.
A commercial said.
Let me see a raised hand. Where else do you think?
Well, here's the thing.
How many?
Oh, not a question yet. We'll come back to that in a second, okay, darling?
Let's talk about this commercial thing. They make Santa do a lot of goofy things in commercials. You know that? But it's okay. That's all right. That is how I get enough money to pay for all the toys that the elves build, you see? By making these commercials. That's what that's all about. All right? Those are called endorsements, by the way. You see? But cookies are Santa's favorite, and usually I like to drink milk with them, but hot cocoa works also. Very well. Let's go to the next question, Matt.
Do you have another non-cookie question, sir?
When does Mrs. Claus make the cookies?
Oh, I'm going to let her answer that.
All year long. He doesn't just like them at Christmas. He loves your cookies at Christmas. But when he's at home, when it's not Christmas, he likes a cookie a day at least.
At least one.
Yes.
That sounds
Goodness
delicious.
gracious.
Now, what's your question over here?
Am I on the naughty list or the nice?
Oh, okay. Yes, I knew that somebody would ask that. And I did not bring the naughty or nice list with me. It's too big to bring down here, you see. It's at the North Pole. But I will check when I get home. Here's the thing. How many of you think you're on the nice list? Raise your hand.
Oh, that's
Good.
lovely.
Is there anybody that thinks that they're on the naughty list? Raise your hand. Sort of. See, you know what? Honesty is the best policy. Here's the thing that I have to say about this, everyone. Honesty, Santa appreciates that very much, that you would say, sort of, because we all are naughty sometimes. We slip up and we make mistakes, don't we?
Yes, sir.
But we can correct those, you see, and we cannot make the same mistake twice. Yes? And also, between now and Christmas, we still have a whole week. So if you guys can be the best listeners for your adults that you can be, Santa promises you'll be on the nice list, okay? But you have to be good listeners for your adults, all right? That was a very good question to ask. When I get home, I will check on the list, though, darling, okay?
Let's go to some other questions out here. I want to see, are there any questions about reindeer? I heard a lot of them earlier. I want to be sure we get to those. Yes?
What's your favorite reindeer?
Ah.
Well, you know, it's hard. It's like children. It's hard to pick your favorite reindeer. But I have to admit it is Rudolph. Darling, I think we should sing the song.
Rudolph?
Can we sing the song? Yes, let's sing the Rudolph song. And Rudolph is my favorite reindeer. What's that, darling? Because he has a shiny nose. And he guides my sleigh at night. And we're going to sing the song about it. That's right. Now, what I want to tell going to learn the other names of the reindeer first so that we can sing the song. Everybody say them along with Santa, okay? There's Dasher, and Dancer, and Prancer, and Vixen, Comet, and Cupid, and Donner, and say this one with me, everybody, it's fun. Blitzen. He's the wacky reindeer. Blitzen is the wacky reindeer. And then there's Rudolph. That's right. So I have 8 reindeer plus Rudolph, who leads the sleigh.
9 Rudolph, 9 reindeer.
That's right. 8 plus 1 is 9.
Oh,
You're very
he's
good
good
at that. Mrs. Claus is good at math, too. She's excellent at math. We're going to sing a song first. Here we go.
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Oh, yes!
Never saw it. You would even say it glows like a flashlight. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him Ben like Pinocchio. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer game like Monopoly. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say,
That's me! Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh?
Everybody clap!
Then all the reindeer loved him, and they shouted out with glee. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Go like this! Like this! Yeah! Very nice, everyone.
Mrs. Claus, you have a wonderful voice and musical talent with that guitar.
oh, thank you so much. I'm
Did-
trying to learn lots of instruments, and when it's not holiday season, I work on my music.
That's right. And Mrs. Claus is going to learn how to play the fiddle this next year. Doesn't that sound
I
exciting,
think so,
Barbara?
and maybe next year.
Maybe next year we'll bring the fiddle in and we can fiddle around. You know what that means? Would you boys and girls do a burro boom for us? I'm going to need your help later. All right? I'm going to need your help later for sure. Would you boys and girls like to hear this story about how me and Mrs. Claus met? All right, let's sit down here for this. Well, before I knew that I was Santa Claus, before I knew what I was going to do in life, I was a substitute school teacher. Did you know that? Isn't that cool?
With children just your age.
Yes. And so I was substitute teaching at a school one day.
And I was a teacher there, and I had a 2nd grade classroom. Are some of you in 2nd grade?
Yeah.
I had children just your age.
Yes. And when I saw her, I was smitten.
What does that mean?
That's a good question. What does it rhyme with? Kitten and mitten. But it's called smitten. And what it means is that I liked her very much. I could tell instantly that she liked children and I liked children a lot.
I could tell that too, because he helped in my classroom.
And she made good cookies too, I have to tell you.
And I knew the way to his stomach.
That's
His
right.
heart was through his stomach.
That's right. One day we had to have recess indoors at school because it was snowing so
There
hard.
was so much snow
It
there.
was unbelievable. It was coming down really hard. So we had to have recess indoors. So all of our classes were in the gymnasium for recess. And Mrs. Claus saw a kitty cat stuck in a tree outside. And she put her boots on and went running out to save the kitty cat. Well, I saw this and I decided, well, I better go help her. And I was way behind her because she's very fast. But I put my boots on and I went running outside too. And the snow was coming down so hard I could barely see. But I could see this kitty cat up the tree. And Mrs. Claus started to climb up the tree to save the kitty
I
cat.
was such a tomboy when I was a little girl, and I climbed those trees.
She's a good tree climber. And when she got up there, she started to go out onto the branch. And she was reaching for the kitty cat, and the snow came down, and the branch broke. And the kitty cat and Mrs. Claus came falling down, and I caught Mrs. Claus in my arms.
Laughed and laughed and fell in the snow.
Oh, we fell down in the snow. We were making snow angels like this, you know.
The kitty was in our arms too.
Goodness. And then we looked over at the window, and all of the school children were pointing at us and laughing, and then they all came out, remember?
Oh, they did.
And they started making snow angels too, and we made a snowman that day.
And we had the biggest snowball fight in history.
That's right. It was great. It was wonderful. And that is how I met Mrs. Claus, and we've been together ever since then. Yes.
I have a question.
All right, well, let's see if Matt can help you out.
I have a question.
Wasn't that a sweet story?
Yeah.
Everyone say, "Aww." I like that story.
Thank you.
What's your question?
How good are the cookies?
How good are the cookies? Oh, cookies are incredible. How good are they? How can I describe how good they are?
100. On a scale from 1 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I like that. They're an 11.
I see a question in the back of the room here.
Yes.
Yes, you. Sir. In the ears.
Who drives the sleigh?
I am the only one allowed in the sleigh. I am the only one allowed to drive it. And you know why, darling? Insurance purposes. This is the way it works, you see. In the last few years, our insurance has been going through the roof. I now have to wear a helmet and a seatbelt in the sled.
What about goggles?
I'm also not allowed to bring live animals in the sled anymore. It freaks the reindeer out. And our insurance was going through the roof,
So
right,
high,
darling?
we just couldn't keep up with
We
that.
couldn't keep up with it, so we just had to stop. I'm the only one that could drive it. All right? It only flies one night a year. Did you know that?
What about the elves?
The elves cannot fly it, darling.
No, they can go on.
No, they can't. Yeah,
couple runs before.
what's that? They used to be.
Practice runs.
Well, they could do it. But the reindeer only fly one night a year, darling. This is what's happened, okay? The reindeer have to save up all their energy. They can only fly on that one special night. Have you ever seen a reindeer?
Yes.
Was it flying?
Yeah.
Bingo! Here's the story. This is the deal. On Christmas Eve, the reindeer eat a magical corn substance that Mrs. Claus mixes up for them. That one night a year is the only night that they can fly. The rest of the year, they walk around on their 4 legs like normal reindeer. They don't even know they can fly. You see? That's how it works. Yes. Who has another question?
Yes, who has a question?
You guys have so many good. See, this is why we did this, Mrs.
I
Claus.
want to know.
I love that you have so many questions.
Question.
Well,
What's
take it for a
what's your
moment.
question right here?
How many elves do you have?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think here. Well, let me just count it this way. I have 10 workshops up at the North Pole, and each one of those workshops specializes in a certain thing, like making remote control things is one workshop. This year I had to put in a whole new workshop for something called Frozen. I thought we just went outside and got snow and it was already frozen, you know? But no, I had to clean the... What is Frozen? Oh, it's a movie. Oh, that's right. That's the one with Olaf in it, isn't it? Now I understand. So we had to open up the whole shop just for that.
Do you have a Lego one?
Yes, there's a whole one for Legos. Yes.
What about keyboards?
Keyboards and musical instruments are in the same thing. Drums and everything. So I have 10 different stations that the elves work at, and in each one of them, there are over 100 elves. So I'm not very good at math. Can you guys help me out? If I have 10 stations, and hold it.
2,000.
What, is that the answer to the question? I didn't even get to say the question, Mrs. Claus. Which is crazy. You guys are ahead of Santa. That's wonderful. Yes, it's about 1,000 elves. A little over that now, though.
Cooper.
All right, let's go to another question.
Yes.
I see a question way back here. Yes, what's your name and what's your question?
shapes
And
and
sizes.
sizes, yes. Well, I like them to be anywhere from bite size to giant size, yes. And my favorite shape cookie. Mrs. Claus, what do you think? What do you think my favorite shape is?
Santa Claus?
Big.
At least she's honest again. You know what I mean. I love her so
But
much.
you know what his favorite cookie is?
Chocolate chip. Chocolate chips.
My favorite cookie is whatever cookie you like, because I like to share.
Chocolate chip.
Okay. Now, boys and girls, Santa would like to try something. You seem to know an awful lot. I think you should pick 3 members from the 3rd grade up there to come up here and compete. You 3, yes, that would be good. Come on down. Come down, please. We're going to have a trivia contest, all right? And you 3 will be on the team with Mrs. Claus.
Oh, yay!
All right? And I will be on my own team, and we'll see who knows more about Christmas movies and things like that. Okay? Now, if you guys know the answer, wait until they answer first, okay? Because we're having a contest, okay? All right. Now, Matt, what is the first question?
All right. First Christmas question from Christmas movies. All right. What movie has a person made out of precipitation?
Oh, precipitation. I don't know.
Better hurry.
Frosty the Snowman.
That was the right answer. Very good. Give a round of applause.
Wait a second. That's unfair. He was using a word that's bigger than Santa knows.
Oh, these children knew it. They knew it. They're 3rd graders.
Okay, all right. We'll go to the next one.
What was the word, Santa?
Precipitation. I
Okay.
didn't know what that. I thought that was like some kind of voodoo thing or something.
I bet Mallory can tell us what it is. Mallory, what's precipitation?
Snow.
Snow. That's one type of precipitation. What else is there?
Rain.
Oh,
That's
yes,
right.
now
That's
I
right.
understand.
Good. Things that come from the sky. Precipitation.
I got you.
Good. I want to get the other names over here. We have Mallory, and what's your name?
Aylin.
Aislinn and
Connor.
Connor. I can tell by your hat. Okay.
Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. C. Nice to meet you.
Just in case.
All right.
We
Next.
should have worn name tags, darling.
should have.
We should have had name tags.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Next Christmas question. A holiday movie. All right. In what movie does the elf?
Oh, no.
And which movie is the elf the most clumsy? A movie with a really clumsy elf.
It's up to them.
That's so quick.
Now, is that the one where he puts where he has the 4 kinds of foods that the elves eat? Does anybody remember that one?
There's another one. There's another movie I know of that has another.
Is there? Now, what about, ask one, this is my specialty. They're all movies that are more modern. I'm better at the older movies. Ask one about Charlie Brown.
Oh, okay.
Ask one about
All right, Charlie Brown question. In Charlie Brown's Christmas,
Yes?
what is Snoopy's best friend's name?
Snoopy's best friend. Oh, that's a hard one. He's a bird, I know that. Oh,
That's
yes,
right.
Woodstock. That's right, Woodstock. You guys won 3-0. Get over here.
Stuck on the window helps, doesn't it? Alex.
Now, everybody,
In my window.
stand up for a moment.
Stand up.
Stand up.
Good job, guys.
Well, that would be good if you step on the black, nobody's going to yell, all right, darlings? Don't worry about it. Just don't come dancing too far out. Because how many of you like it to snow? Do you like to play in the snow?
Yeah!
But we don't have any snow, do we?
Every day before I go to school, I hope for snow.
Well, this is what we're going to do now, boys and girls. Matt is going to teach you the snow dance. This is guaranteed to bring snow to Chicago, all right? Some of the parents may not like this, but we're going to make it snow. All right? I know, us children love to play in the snow, right?
Yeah!
All right, so Matt's going to teach you.
Only got one.
Are you ready?
Matt is going to teach you the snow dance.
We have some dance moves. I showed you a few before that are going to bring about some snow. So snow is really important so that Santa can pull his sleigh through the snow. So first off, let's do our move where we drive the reindeer.
Uh-oh.
Very good.
Very good.
Not
Next
bad.
move. Next move. This is a combination. Remember I told you about my favorite reindeer? Who was it? All right, show me prancing. And I need you to crack the whip. So as you're doing this, whoosh, keep on cracking it. Let them know it's time to go. Good, all right. Third move, are you ready? Good. Hands on your hips. Look to your right. Very good. And we're gonna do 3 steps like this. Then to your left. And then everybody's hands go up. Then make it come down. Do it again.
Very nice.
And this is a very particular kind of precipitation. Do you know what kind of precipitation it is?
No!
That's right. Okay, it's time for our music. Are you ready for our dance?
Make it snow, guys, all right?
All right, everybody,
All
get
right,
ready.
Alex. Let's see it. Hayden.
Clap your hands. Clap, 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 clap. First move, drive it. Say it. Come on, let's crack the whip. Let's go. Crack it in a circle. To your right. Left. Right. Left. Really good. All right, let's clap our hands. Hands up, make it snow. One more time. Clap your hands like this. It's happening. Clap in a circle. We're gonna do it one more time. Everybody get down low, get down low. Bring it up, 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 up. Get ready to drive the sleigh. All the moves one more time. Here we go. Drive the sleigh. Here we go. Crack the whip. To the right. To the left. Very good. Hands up. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was amazing. We got some snow.
Go, Alex. You got it.
Everybody sit down.
It's snow time.
Yes, very nice. Now remember when I said I was going to need your help with the broom boom? Who was it that did the broom boom for me? Come, I need your help. Come up here. Me and Mrs. Claus were asked by some Hollywood agent or something to work on a stand-up routine. And we're not very good at it yet, so please bear in mind that, all right? But we need to practice it, okay? So now, you will hear the punchline, and then what are you going to do? Right, and you can put that.
All right.
Try it once.
Boom, boom.
One more time.
Perfect.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. There we go. That's okay. All right. So I will start it off. I will tell my first joke. All right.
I hope I remember.
I hope this is. All right. Here we go. What did Santa say to Mrs. Claus when he looked out the window?
I don't know.
What?
He said, "It looks like rain, dear." There we go. Very good.
That
All right.
one slays me.
There we go.
Oh, I have
You
one.
tell us.
Okay, where does Santa like to stay when he goes on vacations?
I don't know.
I don't know. Please.
Where do I like to stay?
A hotel.
That's right. There we go. We're getting good at this. All right.
work in his garden.
I don't know.
What?
Because he goes like,
Because he likes to ho-ho-ho.
That's all right, all right. I have one. I made this one up myself this year. I'm very proud of it. Why did Santa get a flu shot?
why? Because he had a flu.
Because with all of the chimneys that I go up and down, no one else comes in contact with more flus than Santa. There we go, yes.
Oh, I know. If athletes get athlete's foot, what do astronauts get? No? What do astronauts fly in? Missile? Missile. They get mistletoe.
Very good.
There's a mistletoe right there.
That's a mistletoe, yes, yes. Now, let's have one more joke, and then we will go back to some questions.
I got a joke.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Stand up and tell us the joke, darling. Come up here.
He's a good joker.
Come up here. Now, I hope this is age appropriate. Please tell me it's age appropriate.
I hope so.
Jokester. I know that for sure.
All right, let's hear the joke.
What is Santa's favorite snack?
I don't know.
Ho-ho!
Ho-hos! Oh, no. That's a good
Good job, Matthew. Good job.
One more.
Good job.
No, let's go to some questions because we have so many questions.
Give it up for Cooper, a musician over here.
Yes?
Excellent comic timing, Cooper. Couple more questions. Up here, what's your question?
How do you get around the whole world in one night?
Okay. I knew that I was going to get this question, so I developed a chart. And I hope this explains it. We will skip the first one, and we'll go to that. All right, so I think this is a good question. I think this is a good time to talk about it. Matt will help me out here. How Santa gets around the world in one night. First of all, Santa travels at the speed of light. Does everybody understand quantum physics here?
Yeah.
That was last week.
164,000 miles per second. That's fast. You multiply that times 60 seconds in a minute, right? Times 60 minutes in an hour, times 24 hours in a day. With the variable, you all know what a variable is, right?
No.
Maybe you'll learn that next year, all right? The variable of 24 time zones in the world plus the square root of magic. That's the key factor. Minus the laws of gravity, plus the powers that were granted by me by the great AKA. And not to mention all of my frequent flyer miles. Divide that by the circumference of the Earth, which is 24,901 miles, and that's the number you end up with. Holy moly is right.
Holy guacamole.
You see, that's millions of zillions of gazillions of everything. That is how many stops I can make in one night. You see? So let us just say that Santa is here and there in the blink of an eye. Does that make sense to all of you?
Yes, yes.
Good. All right. And we will come back to this. I want to talk about another thing now. Somebody else, when we were doing the jokes.
I had a good joke.
We're not doing jokes right now. So. It's all right, darling. Oh, just a second. I'm sorry.
I didn't know you had a phone.
Hello. This is Santa. Blinky? What are you calling about, Blinky? I'm in the middle of a town hall meeting. Just a second, children. What do you mean you're out of red paint? Blinky, we had plenty of red paint when Mrs. Claus left the North Pole today. What happened to it? The elves got into a red paint. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, okay. All right. Blinky, here's what you need to do, okay? I want you to go into town and get some more red paint. Could you please? Do that for Santa, and have the elves behave themselves while Mrs. Claus is gone. I knew this was going to happen, dear. I told you you shouldn't have come.
Well, I wanted to come.
Okay, all right. Hey, Blinky, I want you to take care of this, all right? Thank you. Oh, what's that, Blinky? You want to know what the children want for Christmas. All right. Stay right where you are, children. This is Blinky the elf. He's my main elf, the head elf up at the North Pole. On the count of 3, shout out what you want for Christmas. So Blinky can get it. On the count of 3, think about what you want. Blinky, they're thinking right now. Does everybody have it in your mind?
Yeah.
All right, on the count of 3. Blinky, here they go. 1, 2, 3. Did you get that, Blinky?
Okay.
You did, all right. Blinky has it. You're all covered, all right? All right.
Is everything okay, Santa, at the North
Well,
Pole?
the red paint thing is not a good thing. I mean, we have cars to paint. You know, we have fire engines to paint.
Hot Wheels cars?
Red cars, you know what I mean? We have to paint the cars red. All right, now we can take a few more questions, I think.
All right. In the back, in the green, what's your question?
How do the elves manage to make so many gifts?
How do the elves, okay, let's talk about that. The elves go to school for 20 years to learn to be a toy maker. All right, it takes 20 years for them to study. So some children ask me, can I be an elf? How many of you would like to be elves? What you have to do,
Hard workers.
what you have to do
I have 20 years.
is go to, yes, you do have 20 years there. You have to go to school for 20 years, and then you go to elf school. I know, but that's the way the elves are. You think they're young because they're small, right? But they're not. All of those elves are older than you think. All right? So now the elves study for 20 years, darling. And then, once they do that, then they go for 5 more years of apprenticeship where they learn to build the toys very fast. It was sort of, remember in that movie Elf that we talked about earlier, right?
Yeah, I watched
You remember them, how fast they worked and how fast they made the toys? That's what the elves learn in that last 5 years of school.
Elf made the snowballs for packing.
That's right, that's a good movie. That's right.
I love
Santa,
Let's go, yes.
I feel like we should turn to some of the long distance questions.
All right, these are some questions, by the way, that we got on the interweb or something.
Internet, yeah.
Santa doesn't use his computer too much yet, so we're trying to train him on how to do all that. But it was the email, through the email.
Through the email. And then some of them, weren't they on Bookface?
Yep.
What's that called?
Oh, yeah. Enter Twitch.
I thought it was Bookface.
Am I a book?
Oh well, all right, let's hear the questions.
This first question comes from Jackson in Honolulu.
Jackson in Honolulu. Fine young boy. Yes.
And it says, have you ever run into a wayward penguin?
A wayward penguin. Oh, yeah, okay, that's an interesting question, don't you think, Mrs. Claus? Because, boys and girls, where do you think the penguins live? At the South Pole, that's right. Not at the North Pole with Santa. Do you know why they live at the South Pole?
Polar bears.
Because of the polar bears that live at the North Pole. That's right. And they wouldn't get along very well. So Jackson from Honolulu asked about whether I'd ever run into a wayward penguin. And I think that you should tell Jackson, and we will send him a note. Santa thinks that could be a good story. We could write a good book about that, and I will collaborate with Jackson on a story about a penguin who hops aboard an iceberg that breaks off and drifts up to the North Pole. And what happens after that, I can't tell you yet.
You see it?
No, I didn't see it. That's what I mean. We're going to make up a story about it, you see?
And then
Me and Jackson. And Jackson's from Honolulu, isn't he?
Did I?
Did you know that Mrs. Claus and I went to Honolulu for our vacation last year? Yes, it is Hawaii. That's right. And that's where we went.
I don't know if you can take a heat.
That's right. And now, here's something I wanted to show you.
I can't believe I met the real Santa.
We learned how to say Merry Christmas in Hawaiian, you see? Mele Kalikimaka. Can you say that with me, everyone?
Go ahead, Miss A.
Mele Kalikimaka. And Mrs. Claus, because she loves to play music, got a ukulele.
Ukulele, I got I learned a Christmas song when we were in Hawaii.
We learned how to sing Mele Kalikimaka. Would you guys stand up and do the hula with us?
Okay. Kalikimaka.
nothing to say on a dry Hawaiian Christmas day. Oh, Santa! That's the island greeting that we send to you from the land where palm trees sway.
Here we know that Christmas will be green and bright. The sun will shine by day and all stars at night.
Mele Kalikimaka is the wise way
Be a palm tree.
to say Merry Christmas.
A very Merry Christmas. A very, very, very Merry Christmas to you. Very nice.
Palm trees, everybody.
Now, as we were talking about Mele Kalikimaka, you can sit down now. Mele Kalikimaka is Hawaiian for Merry Christmas. Does anybody know how to say Merry Christmas in a language other than English? Yes, darling. Feliz Navidad. What language is that? Spanish, yes, and in Brazil also. Darling, stand up and tell us.
Christos рождается.
Stand up though, darling.
They hear it all the time, dear.
Not really.
Christos рождается.
And what language is that?
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian.
Oh, love that.
Does anybody else know another language for Merry Christmas? Yes? Stand up, darling. We want to hear you. What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, that's all right.
How
Well,
about Hebrew?
Hebrew, yes. Come and let's hear it, darling. Come forward.
You say Merry Christmas in Hebrew, it's Shana Tova.
Very
There it
nice.
is. Right
Thank you
here.
for that. Does anybody else know another language of Merry Christmas? Because Christmas is all around the world, boys and girls. It's not just here in Chicago. You know that?
Yeah.
Yes, it's very good. And Santa loves the children all around the world, right? Yes, that's true. Now, I have one other thing I want to say about this. Mrs. Claus and I want to go on vacation again this year. We're thinking of coming to Chicago. We're thinking of coming to Chicago.
In the warm months.
In the warm
We're on
months, because
vacation.
we want to go to Navy Pier.
Oh, yeah.
And she wants to go shopping on the Magnificent Mile, you see, and things like that. So you might see us here in the summer sometime. Would that be nice?
Yes.
Let's hear this question. We had another email question that came in.
Yes, this question is from Bryson in Wisconsin.
Bryson? Oh, yes.
It says, do you use people's bathrooms when you come in the house?
I've seen a commercial about
Oh,
that.
I use the bathrooms! You mean when I come down the chimney and bring the toys? Goodness gracious! But when I come under the door? Okay, let me clear this up.
I never
Let me
thought of
clear
that.
this one up for everyone, all
I
right?
never thought of that.
So far, I haven't had to use your bathrooms, okay?
Careful.
Because I am like an astronaut that flies high up in the sky, I have to have NASA clearance. NASA is the National Aeronautic Space Association. And the astronauts, when they go into outer space and wear their spacesuits, they wear these things called mags. And the NASA has given Santa many, many pairs of these things called mags. Mags are what the astronauts wear, and it's what Santa wears too. So basically they are maximum absorbent garments. That's what they are. Basically it's a very large diaper. Yes, but I have to tell you that very seldom have I had to use it, all right? I go so fast around the world that I don't even have time to think about it. It isn't until I get home to Mrs. Claus that I usually say, oh God, I have to go so bad.
He runs past me to the restroom before he gives me a kiss. Hello.
Oh, goodness gracious. So that is the story about whether or not. We will tell that to Bryson in Wisconsin about why but it would, if I had to, would it be all right if I used your bathroom? It's all right. No. Here's the thing. Hang in there. Hang in there. Here's what I would like you to do. If you said yes, just leave me a note by the cookies that says yes. And if you said no, which is fine, I can understand that. Just leave me the note that says no. Okay? That'll make it simple. And then I will know. All right? Yes or no? That's all you have to do. All right.
Santa, we have about 10 minutes until 2:30. I'm not sure what your time frame is
Well,
like.
no, well, yes, we do need to have our meeting, but I would like to answer a couple other questions of the children that the children have or that the adults have. Here's an adult question.
Let's do that, yes.
Let's do that one.
You know, I've had several of my students who say they don't have a chimney and a fireplace.
Yeah.
So how in the world does Santa
Window.
deliver anything without the chimney?
No, and that's a good point. Can I tell you about this story? Well, you guys have heard a lot of things. I'm sure you've heard a lot of things. I'm going to give you the real story now. Everybody pay attention to Santa, please. Focus on Santa. Thank you. This is how I do it. The reason this chimney thing got started is because Santa's very, very old. Do you know that? And when I started out, every house in the world had a chimney because that's the only way they could heat the house, you see? So, every house used to have them. Nowadays, they don't, right? Not all houses have chimneys. Some of us have heaters and things like that. You see? So, Santa had to come up with a couple solutions. And one of the solutions is he has a magic key that lets him in, and he's the only one in the world that has this key. It lets me into every house. The other way I do it, if that key for some reason, the lock has been changed or something and I'm not able to get in. You understand subatomic particles? Kind of. That's good enough.
Santa, that's important.
That's important. All right, with subatomic particles, I turn myself into the size of even smaller than an atom. An atom, oh goodness gracious.
Oh, that's like the smallest.
That's like the smallest thing that they thought before they found the subatomic particles. It's very tiny, let's just say, it's smaller than this, okay? And when I turn myself that small, I'm able to slip in under the door, or through a crack in the window, or some such thing.
Then how do you put the presents?
When I get outside, when I get inside the house, I snap my fingers and I come back to this side.
In the bag during what
Right. Let's talk about the bag for a moment. We brought up the bag. How do you think I get all those presents into that bag? What's your answer, darling?
Undetectable extension term?
I like that.
That's from Harry Potter.
I like that. What were you going to say,
That's what
darling?
I was going to say.
What it is that Mrs. Claus made me a magical bag. And the elves built me the most powerful computer chip in the world. And I have a 3D printer inside of the bag. So every time I get to a house, the information is downloaded into that computer chip. And the toys are printed on the 3D machine that the elves built me in there. You see? So I only have one house of toys in the bag at any one time. That's how it works. And I wait till I'm inside, I download it, I put them under the tree, I go back up, the next house, I do the same thing. Download, print, done. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and do it all over again.
And I do it all over again, and I do it many, many times in the night, don't I? Yes, let's see, dramatic. Let's find a couple more questions here.
Okay.
How about in the back row over here?
Here I come.
Mrs. Claus, did you really sew Santa's clothes?
Did you like them?
Yes.
Isn't it pretty? I
see-
sewed mine too.
She makes me these sleeves that keep my arms warm, even if I raise my hand, you see, these are come up here, and I raise my hand and the sleeve sort of stays up, and when I'm in the wind, it doesn't get cold in there, you see? And she makes, I just love this outfit. Yes, and do you notice I have a black belt? Yes. Karate!
Let's get another question. I'm right here, you in the yellow.
How long is your beard?
How long is my beard? I don't know, come up here and pull it. Get up
Oh,
here.
that's hard, Bruce. Give it a tug.
So how long do you think it is?
How many inches would that be? Estimate.
6 inches.
That's about right.
That's good. Mrs. Claus has me trim it. Sometimes it gets a little long, and she says, You look like you should be on that duck show. What's that duck show? Duck, she says, you look like you're on Duck Dynasty. You don't look like Santa, you look like you're on Duck Dynasty, she says. And then I have to trim it back, you see. Now, that was a good question. Santa's had a beard for a long time. Do you know how old I am, boys and girls?
No, you're 55. 1 million.
All right.
I will tell you if you quiet down.
Yeah.
I will tell you if you quiet down. Santa is as old as Christmas. I don't know, darling. I lost count. I'm as old as Christmas. You go home and go and ask your parents to Google how old Christmas is or something like that. And you will find out. Now, we talked about how old I am, right?
Yes.
Yes? That's a good question, I think. Mrs. Claus, do you know what? You never ask a woman her age. All right? It's just a common courtesy. Never ask a woman her age.
Never.
And I want to talk about one last thing here, because we were talking about how old I am. Do you boys and girls know what it means to be immortal?
Yes.
One person raised their hand, Matt, call on somebody and have them give you a definition of immortal.
What does it mean to be immortal?
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
You got, yeah.
He'll
you
raise
know?
his hand.
He'll raise his hand.
That's okay.
Come back over here.
Let's go over here.
Who's got it?
Somebody over here must know immortal.
I'm gonna go over here with this great.
Come on, Alex. Go.
Doesn't it mean where you're like invincible, where nobody can destroy you or something?
Yes, that's along the lines. But let's give you one other definition, but you're right.
You'll never die.
That's right. Immortal means that I never die. And I remember earlier I told you I'm not his brother because I am not a human being and he is a human being. I used to be a human being. Here's how this worked. When I was a baby, I was only about 2 weeks old. My parents abandoned me in the forest. They left me for dead. They couldn't afford to raise me. So they left me in the forest. And I was lucky that I wasn't eaten by a lion. But then a fairy found me. A beautiful fairy who's, goodness gracious. That better not be Blinky again. No, it's not Blinky. I'm not taking this call. All right.
Who was that?
I don't know. Santa gets so many calls every day you wouldn't believe it. Because I want to tell you this story. It's very important. So, I was abandoned, and I was raised by the fairies. Nicole found me in the forest. She's a fairy who paints flowers. And I'm not talking about on canvas. She actually paints the flowers. She's the one that colors the flowers, what color they are. Nicole raised me till I was about 18. And by then I was big like this, and the fairies were small like this. And the great AKA came to me, and he said, you must go out and join the human race. You are a human. So he sent me on my way, and he said, you will find your mission in life. I didn't know what he meant at first. And I went and I sat in my cabin. I built myself a cabin. And I was sitting there whittling one day. And I was making, just whittling wood. That's carving wood, you see. And I looked at it, and it looked like my kitty cat, who had been sitting over in the corner, you see. And I looked at it, and I thought, oh, that's a wonderful thing. It looks like a kitty cat. And so I painted it black and white like my kitty cat. And I thought, well, this is good. And I called it a toy. And that was the first toy that I ever made, you see. And I took it to the nearby village, and I gave it to a little girl. And she loved it so much, and it made her so happy, I decided that that's what I would do with my life, you see. That I would make toys and give them to children all around the world. And so I started out very small, you see, just me. And I could do maybe 10 or 12 a year. And then the fairies who I had lived with, Nicole and all of her elf friends, decided that they would join forces with me, you see. And so together, over the last thousands of years, we have learned how to make all the toys that we need. Yes, that is the story of the first toy. Yes, I hope you understand that. And if you want to read about where I grew up, it's called the land of Burzee. Burzee. And it's in a book called The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, that's me, by L. Frank Baum. He wrote, does anybody know what L. Frank Baum wrote?
The Wizard of Oz.
That's right, The Wizard of Oz. So, like The Wizard of Oz, some things in the book are true and some things are not. He had to, you know how all authors do it. They have to embellish to make it more dramatic. But I think he wrote a very good story about me, especially about where I grew up. Yes, let's take one more question. One more question.
Who hasn't asked one?
Someone ask a question?
How many elves do you have?
Oh yes, we were talking about, it's over 1,000. We can take one more. I remember I was talking about the 10 workshops and then 100 elves. So it's about 1,000. One more
One
question.
more, somebody who hasn't asked a question. Make sure it's someone who hasn't asked a question. It's right here. What's your question?
Do you have a garage?
Do I have a garage? You mean where I park the sleigh? That is wonderful. It's more like a barn, actually. It's more like a barn because that's where it's parked. But I think I should get a garage. I think, in fact, I'm going to make a motion. I get a man cave next year. Right? That's what Santa wants. We need to do one more thing, and I wish I had seen it. Was I right or was I wrong? You guys have so many questions. I wish I could stay and answer them all.
Santa, we can't leave without knowing who AKA is. You've mentioned it several times
Great
now.
AKA.
Who is AKA?
The great also known as. The great also known as.
What's
Also known.
Also known as. It's very complicated. I did not understand it for a long time. The great also known as. Also known as. AKA. You just have to think about it for you.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, you can talk about that.
We'll get back to
The great all AKA. Well, here's what we're going to do. I want everybody to stand up and sing one last song with us, and then we're going to get a chance to talk with you a little individually, all right? Stand up, everybody. We're going to sing We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Do you guys know that song?
You bet we do.
And we're going to do 2 choruses of it, okay?
Two stuff.
And have fun, and say, know that Santa and Mrs. Claus love you very, very much.